Hello all, I'm so glad to see you here and welcome to the Test Sisters second YouTube event. So I see you are many here, I'm glad, and we would like to discuss over our interesting topic how to apply for a job. So we have here expert to give us some tips and tricks. She is Reet Kaurit and she has recruited our 51st engineers for WISE, helped to set up the HR strategy in Mooncascade, and now is busy to build a recruitment agency called TalentHub. As always, web events are interesting more to you and also for us. If you write down your questions next to this video, and also maybe you have some tips or some experience to share them, then write them all down and we will take them here with Reet. And also we are happy to see that we can make a gift to Reet. And this is thanks to Igloo, who is this event co-host. And of course, you can go and check their webpage and see what they are doing in the IT field. And maybe even apply all these tricks and tips that you are learning here, applying there. So the intro is now quite over, and I would like to give the word to Reet. So please, Reet, this is now your turn.
Okay, thank you, Ava. I unfortunately didn't hear anything you were saying about the event or what about me. So sorry if I'm going to say same things, but thanks for having me, first of all. And today we are going to talk about a little bit about hiring and applying for a new job. So I don't know if I've already told who I am, but I'm Reet Kaurit. A little bit, thank you. So the relevant experience for this topic is that I used to be a recruitment intern in TransferWise, then recruitment coordinator. And at the end of the day, I was the technical recruiter at WISE. So my main job was to hire Java engineers. And I think I was able to hire more than 50 in 1 year, 2015. Then I've been an HR manager, and today I'm co-founder and talent partner at TalentHub. Today we are going to talk about like where to begin at all, like where to start with a job search. Then CVs, what should be there, what shouldn't be there, interviews, recruitment process overview, and if you have time, then a little bit discussion about startups versus large enterprises. But where to begin? I personally like to think that everything you do, you have to always think why I do this, why I think this is good thing, why what's there for future, maybe why this step is important for me, why this company, and so on, and consider all your options. I mean, go out there and start going through all the CV portals, LinkedIn's, but be open. There are lots of remote roles. So there are so many different job boards all over the world. So don't limit yourself with just Estonian, maybe CV Keskus or CV Online, which are also good places to start. Then don't forget maybe your values, like what you value in your life. Like, are those company values aligned with your personal values? All the today transparency, green, thinking green, and all those values you may have. Everybody have different values, and all the companies have different values. So don't forget who you are. And if you have a plan to find a job, first job, new job, so start talking about it. Start talking about your friends, different people. start networking. I mean, LinkedIn is quite good place where to start. You can add different connections, add different recruiters, different people from different companies. It's not like Facebook that you should only connect with people you actually know. You can connect almost everybody. Of course, it depends that everybody are not going to accept your connection request, but it's not like spamming in Facebook. And take some time to think. It's probably not only if you're going to find the one job you like, it's not maybe the only one. But on the other hand, I would say that it's just a job. I mean, it's going to be a very big part of your life, or when you're going to spend the most of the time working. But it's what happens if it goes wrong? Like, what's the worst thing? And you probably will end up that actually nothing happens. And I think today careers, they are not anymore that I'm going to spend next 20 years in one company. It's totally okay to change jobs in few months. I mean, in few years, don't change in few months. That doesn't look very good. But in a few years, then that's totally okay, especially in tech world and startup worlds. For us, those so my background is mostly startups. So we recruit today mostly for startups. Those people who've been in one large company, let's say 10 years, then they're very junior starting in the startup. So don't stay too long in one company as well. So if you think this could be a match, you find this right job, the right company, again, do the research. Like, is it like sometimes the role headline is something like calling you, it's like a right thing, but maybe the description is not the right. What's behind there? Try to find, maybe you know somebody who is working there. You can find different articles from internet. Do your research before you apply. And if you think it's time to apply, then you have to get your CV right. So I'm trying to go to you through what should be there and then what shouldn't be there. Again, I know I'm already saying this third time to start with the research, but the CV, it should be quite unique. If you don't apply like 10 different places, like or 20 different places with the same CV, do the research and only put the CV into the CV, the relevant experience for exactly that role that you're sending this CV. And again, for this, you need to do the research, try to understand who may be the hiring manager, who is reading your CV, who is doing the first look, take the first look. And again, what are the company values? Are the same employees? And also, if it's not Estonian, I mean, even if it's Estonian, try to understand the market insight, because with a CV as well, easiest example is that maybe in Estonia, it's okay to put your picture into CV, but when you apply in UK, it's not okay to add your picture photo into the CV. Or in Estonia, I mean, I don't. It's not a good thing to send like 5 pages long CV to somewhere, but in US, you can't even send more than sometimes more than 1 page. So do the market research as well. What's how it's usually done there. Yes.
One question already. So, do the age matter? Let's say if I want to start my career in programming or in AI, being a math and deaf person, like in nature, does it matter that I'm 37 years old or 40 or something today? Like, how do they see the CV? I am 40, I'm starting new career in totally new field.
First of all, we're getting there. What do not put in the CV? Definitely don't put your age in the CV. it's not relevant for the job description, and don't already put yourself like in your mind in the wrong place. Like it's not relevant how old you are for this position. There are totally other things that are relevant, and we are getting there how to write the cover letter where you can put your motivation, your experience, what is relevant for this role there, and definitely the age is it doesn't matter for it if it doesn't matter for you, let's say. So, but in a CV, what else should be there? I am definitely, again, a relevant experience I mentioned, but sometimes we are listing their skills, and I quite often see skills like communication. I don't know, everybody we can communicate. It doesn't really say a lot, or very fun, or like Chrome or Excel, or they are so basic. Everybody are already expecting that. I don't know what it means even that I can use Chrome as a browser or Safari. So it really doesn't give anything. But it's not even if you're a programmer that you list their Java and like all the skills you have. That's okay. Of course, in technical part, list them. But more important, there are even achievements and responsibilities you have taken or have had in your career. So it really actually shows that did you do some like did you do something from the very beginning? Were you in a team of two, or you were responsible to do things alone, or you were just fixing bugs somewhere? Like, I mean, that's okay to do it as well, but it's good to see it from the CV. And sometimes people are afraid to put their side projects. It really feels that only the things that I got paid should be in the CV. Definitely not. Put all your side projects, add your GitHub accounts. If you have done something, help your friend to build a website, or done some UX design for something and you didn't get paid for it, but it came out quite good, then share it, especially when you don't have too much experience yet. And of course, I think right now, of course, COVID situation doesn't give us a very good chance to go abroad. But if you have spent time abroad, I have done some different internships at them as well. It really gives you, it's not only that, yes, she knows how Australia market is or how people are there, but it actually gives a lot of information. It gives that, oh, this person have courage to go somewhere. Do you take risks and succeed in them? So, and also it maybe helps to stand out sometimes. And yeah, the hobbies part is also important. If especially if the hobby is the same as the CV screener hobbies. Let's say you have done your research, you kind of know who is the hiring manager or recruiter who has done this, and if they have run the half marathon lately, and you also like running and you plan to run a half marathon, put it in, and you already got the engagement with the reader. So some little tips and tricks, and of course your contact, and that should be like very top of it, like your email and your phone number, so it would be very, very easy to reach you. So those are the things that definitely should be there. But what shouldn't be there? As I mentioned, the age, it's not relevant. Your full home address, it's not relevant that I know exactly which apartment do you live. Maybe it's relevant when you say if it's not a remote job that you live in Tallinn or in Tartu or wherever. Your relationship status. I sometimes I feel that there is a single, like somebody said they're a single or 2 kids. I feel like, oh, is it like a Tinder that I'm dating? I'm going through the CVs. It's not the information that should be there, and actually it gives biases to the CV reader, even if they know about those biases they can get, but still don't put there again kids. Like I would never put in a CV that I have a 2-year and 4-year-old kid at home. It's not relevant information, of course. I'm going to share it because it's a really big part of my life, but you don't have to share it in CV or any stages of interview. And again, things that are not relevant. So maybe I didn't put everything here, but always think that, is it relevant for this job? I remember one time I remember the story when I was hiring a customer support for TransferWise. And there was a person who sent a CV and was making those pizzas. And in a half of page, he was writing how to make pizzas. And I was like, how is this relevant for this job? I mean, like, it was interesting to read and I got some insight, like how to make pizza maybe at home, but it wasn't relevant. And it's a waste of time and it doesn't actually give you, it doesn't show you in a good light anyway. So other tips, I mean, like if you apply for a job, I mean, the recruiter or the hiring manager, they should not go and Google you. But I'm pretty sure that most of them are doing it in one point. So clean up your social media. I mean, you can think that it's a personal thing and nobody's to judge you because what's there. But to be honest, people, they do it. So just hide things or think like what impression the person who doesn't know you actually will get from your last posts there. Check your email addresses. I mean, I've got the Google meetup. I had to set up the Google meetup for somebody. I didn't even recognize the email. I didn't see the email before, and it was like Sexy Kisu 15. So maybe it was cool 15 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever reasons you may use it, but it wasn't definitely cool in the interview stages or using in your CV. Other thing, I mean, I know that hot.e been changed and it's not the old hot.e, but I definitely would use a Gmail or Hotmail or Outlook, like what's more known. Definitely if it's a tech position that you are going to apply. So it doesn't also show you in a good light if it's a mail.e. And of course, overall CV look, there are so many templates out there, free templates, and just Google CV template and use them. Don't send Europass or CV Keskus CV nowhere. Please don't do it. It really looks bad. And maybe when it's a UX designer or designer role or it's a copywriting role, that already shows that I don't have to read anything. I am biased, and maybe you have relevant skills, you have everything you have done right, but if your CV doesn't look good, then it's really hard to stand out. And even if you have to pay for it €1, let's say that sometimes there are prices as well, it's just the €1 to stand out. So I would definitely use it. And no typos. There are so many spellers. There are friends who can go through your CV, and it's just 1 or 2 pages. So you should be able to do it without typos. And as I said, 1 page should be good, maximum 2. Don't try to list like everything you have there. Also, my tip would be that choose the language after the job ad. So if it's the job ad is in English and it's Estonian company, and the hiring manager is Estonian and can read your CV in Estonian, then there is a reason why the job ad is in English. So translate to English. And other way around as well. If it's Estonian and it sometimes the job actually requires Estonian, then make it Estonian. Don't be lazy and send the English version that you have created and what looks good. Just take some time. And don't forget online CV. LinkedIn is also very common, and I would say in startup world we don't use too many other CVs at all. So there are also, when you Google how to make my LinkedIn profile perfect, and you get so many tips and tricks how to stand out there. And the cover letter. I know different recruiters and hiring managers are thinking about cover letter, that is it important or not important, but I would say, let's say if you start in a tech world, or if you start your career, or you know that in this position there are going to be 100 people who are going to apply there, then it's actually the cover letter is the chance to stand out, like maybe the only chance to stand out. You can do it if you're more outgoing. It can be a video, but just the cover letter also gives better chance to stand out. You can talk about the motivation, because in a CV there is mostly only your skills and achievements and previous experience, but you can actually talk about your motivation. Sometimes the motivation is connected to the company, not the role even itself. And if you don't have the 100% match with the skills, you can talk about those skills that actually can cover those that you're missing. So, but don't rewrite your CV. The point is to add things that they can't see it in your CV. So there is no point to talk that I worked there and there and there and did this and that if it's already in your CV. And please don't Google how to write a cover letter. I mean, other things I'm saying that please Google. There are a lot of information, but with a cover letter, it's not like, dear sir or madam, I'm writing you a cover letter to apply this and this. This is not the thing that I'm telling that you should do to stand out. So be unique and create emotion. And if it's possible, I mean, I always remember cover letters that made me laugh. So this is definitely because it doesn't matter where you are. Everybody loves humor and then laughing. So it's the way to stand out, in my point of view. One little bit scary thing is if people are talking about themselves as a third person. So please try to avoid to do that. Okay. Then when Ava asked me to come talk about recruitment, there was a little topic about should I apply directly? Should I use a recruitment agency? What happens if there is no job open? Should I send an open application? So I would say that of course, if there is the position is open, feel free to apply directly. But my suggestion is that don't wait the deadline. When it's a 1 month deadline, then probably the company starts from the first CV that is coming in. So you have better chance when you do it quickly. Don't do it in the first 30 minutes. When you have a subscription that send me the application when it fits for me, don't do it in 30 minutes. It really feels like you just send a random CV, even if you did not. So wait till maybe 1 day to do it, or half of the day. And probably you won't make up the cover letter in 30 minutes as well, so it will take a little bit longer. With agency, so we work in a recruitment agency. So I would say when you are approached by the agency and called to apply for some company, I definitely would use the agency, because agency is like a VIP service. So you will have the call with a recruiter, and this agency recruiter is not the one who's charging you, like, are you going to be good or bad in this role? Just taking your thoughts, your experience, your motivation, I mean, and actually your goals, where you want to go, where you want to achieve, and then the agency is going to be your cover letter, I would say. They know your motivation, and they have the opportunity to actually have the hiring manager on a phone and sell you to the hiring manager. So he or she does the work for you. But one thing with agencies, they're mostly, at least in Estonia, mostly the agencies are working for companies. So they only are talking about those companies that are they are working with. So they are not trying like presenting you for 5 companies. They usually presenting you for one company. And this point, the direct application would work better if this agency is not working with this company that you are interested in. Open applications, like, I mean, what do you have to lose? Probably nothing. But don't be disappointed. I mean, me as a recruiter would say that everybody should get any answer in any stage. But with the open application, if you send it to the big company, if there is a role not open and you're just sending that I definitely would like to work with your company, maybe you'll find something for me. And it's not really written out what you're exactly looking for. You probably won't get the answer. But with the smaller companies, with the startups that they don't even know who they need, and you are sending them cool with a good cover letter, with a good attitude, the CV, they may contact you quite soon. Same with agencies. I mean, they probably don't have a role for you like in 5 days, but they may come back to you in half a year. So there is nothing to lose. But don't only wait with open applications. So going to the interviews, I'm just going through like what's usually there. I mean, it's not always the interview process the same. I mean, mainly it's not the same. There can be so many stages. There can be only one stage. There can be 7 stages, but usually how it works, there is usually the intro meeting, like recruiters are calling it screening. I don't know if somebody has gone through the screening or the intro interview, so they know that you are screened now. So this will be more like basically the interview, like a little bit to get to know, like, do you have the motivation, why exactly you're applying for? But let's say you have the direct application, or if it's a agency recruiter, it's more about your motivation, like what do you want to do in like in longer term, and how we can help you to achieve those goals. So usually there is a technical skill interview with a hiring manager. It's then sometimes there is a task or some kind of a homework. Sometimes there is a day that you are just coming into the office and seeing how the other people are working, like a trial day kind of, but as it's not allowed, like one thing again, if somebody's giving you, like, come to the trial day and you start like actually doing the work what other people are doing, though by the law it means that they have started the contract with you. So there is not allowed to do the trial days, but getting to know the work day, it's totally allowed. So there can be different team meetings interviews. So let's say you had an interview with the recruiter, you had an interview with the hiring manager who is going to be your lead. You probably will have a team meeting, so you actually will see the same people who are going to do the same job. Startup culture, there are mostly the founder interviews, so you're actually going to meet the founder. Sometimes it really depends on the company. If it's let's say a financial institute, they may have the legal background check. Some do the reference checks. So you just be ready for those stages. So how to prepare for those stages? So try to figure out who is the interviewer, and it's totally okay to ask it. If the interview is set up and it's not mentioned who is the interviewer, or is it just the first name and you can't find it from LinkedIn or somewhere else, who is this person? Still, try to understand, is it going to be a person who maybe have experience 20 years? Is it a person maybe just joined the company herself? So try to figure out. Also, what's the purpose of the interview? Is it going back to those stages? Is it the intro meeting? Is it the technical meeting? Or is it like a team meeting? Like, are we going to do, especially when it's developer job, like are we going to maybe code? Should I bring my laptop? All those things. Don't hesitate to ask this from the recruiter if you're not having the if you don't have enough information. If it's an on-site interview, check out the location. It's a really bad surprise that if you can't find where to park your car or where is actually the main entrance, and then you're running around the house and you see, oh my God, I'm going to be late in 5 minutes. Then you're calling the hiring manager. Then you're starting the interview a bit with the wrong step. So you don't want to do it. Other thing, again, important is the dress code. You don't want to go to the interview like very casual and all the people are coming wearing like a suits and and you usually don't feel so comfortable, and they may have biased as well because of that. And the other way around as well, we had experience with our customers is Amper bikes, and we forget to mention that candidates are going to ride a bike. It's like a trial bike ride, and a very lovely lady came with a high heels, and but the guys really didn't care that she has a high heels and very skinny skirt, and they put her on a bike, and definitely it wasn't like a very pleasant experience for her. Luckily, she got hired. She really liked the bike, even if she was wearing the high heels. But we as a recruiters, we had mentioned that if there is going to be a bike ride, so be dressed that you feel comfortable. Today, most of the interviews are online, so technical preparation or your mic, your headset is working. Also, if it's do you have the right app downloaded? Is it in Zoom? Is it in Teams? Like, there are so many different tools that they're using today. So be ready and you can try most of the things out before the interview with some of your friends. So you know where to mute yourself, where to change the background if it's needed. So you already feel comfortable. Also, interview language, because even though let's say the CV was in English, it looks like the first interview was in English, maybe the second one will be Estonian. And if you have prepared the interview questions, then it's really hard to translate those things to English or Estonia or whatever language it will be. And always have questions. I said that make prepare yourself and do your research, and so you probably may know almost everything about the company, and really after maybe 3 interviews you maybe don't have too much information missing, or you don't know what to ask, but you always have some questions. And I think maybe the easiest one you can ask is always you can ask why this interviewer is working for this company. Why do you work here? What's the culture like? What do you most like here? And so you can ask this from every interviewer, and it's a question. So, and you tick that box that you have to have that question in the end. And of course, be ready for some very common questions. This next slide will be about the questions, but know your CV. It's very awkward when usually the interviewer has the CV in front of it and starts asking about it, and then the candidate is like, Oh, I wrote this one here. Oh, let me see. Let me find my CV. Know your CV. Rather be it one page so you know it by heart what you have there, so you don't have this awkward moment. But yeah, be ready for some very common questions. I mean, I'm not saying those questions are all good or I would ask them, but most likely they will be asked. So tell me about yourself. So where did you hear about this position? What do you know about the company? Like why we should hire you? What your strengths are? What you would change in yourself if you had a chance? Like be ready for those questions. And again, this I would rather Google, because a lot of interviewers are also Google what should I ask in the interview, so you are in the same page maybe, and you are prepared for those questions. And practice. It's not practice with your friends who can ask the questions, because we know by heart what we want to say in our minds. We know what we're going to say, but actually when we're going to say it, the things usually are not coming out very well, especially when you're doing it interviews the first time or after the long time. So just have a little practice before, and you feel more comfortable as well. And definitely be ready for the salary questions. It always comes. It doesn't come from the first interview, but it usually already comes. But if it doesn't come, it definitely will come in one point. So how do I answer those salary questions? This is always the super tricky questions, and I can't even say there is right or wrong answers, and it really depends on situation as well, and the company and interviewer. But mostly, definitely know your market. In Estonia, just palgad.ee and Google. I mean, Google for every market. There are so many different places you can compare different role salaries. Glassdoor, definitely one place you can find different salaries all over the world, and compare with different sites. So you will get some thought what's the market, and or talk to your friends or people who are working the same. Like, what do you think my skills are? Also, recruitment agencies are more like on your side, and they help you to figure out what your salary expectation should be, or what they think it's okay-ish to be, and or what between where it should stay. But it's not only the salary. You always consider the complete employer value proposition. It's not, there can be, when we talk about startups, there usually are lower salaries, but they give you share options. Also, are those projects something that you are dreamed? How many trainings there are, with who you're going to work, because sometimes that's the life-changing thing. If there is a very, very smart people next to you, so consider like whole package.
One question from our side also. So if you are changing the job and you know your own salary already, is there some good percentage, like ask in the new place, let's say 10% more, 20, or is there like, this is something what you already get? So you know that even though if you're in this Glassdoor or Palgad.com, you don't have maybe this salary what to compare to.
I mean, this is all very, very, very good question, because this is what mostly is asked. Like if you don't have any salary expectation, the interviewers start asking, okay, but tell me what you're earning today. So, but how do you know that this salary that you're earning today is actually your value in a market? So be really, really careful to saying it out. Or let's say that's the reason you're moving. or changing the job because you feel that I'm not paid enough according to my responsibilities and things. So should I get just 10% more because I've been earning this salary previously? Should I start changing jobs in 6 months so I'm going up faster? No. So this is a tricky questions. I mean, as from the candidate side, I would say I will try to push this salary expectation as far as I can, just because, you know, you don't know the role, you don't know how much responsibility, what's there, is it going to be actually the 9 to 5 job, or you're going to be all in, and you want to be all in doing the weekends and things. I mean, you don't know. Especially after the like a screening interview, let's say you have an interview with me, I definitely am not going out from the interview without your salary expectation. But really, do I? You will be evaluated all the process because of the salary information you gave earlier. But if you have something in your mind that you that's the reason you're changing, or you are hunting a higher salary. Let's say you are headhunting from recruiter. You're very satisfied where you are, but you've been thinking that maybe the salary is one thing I may move. Definitely tell what you're expecting, because otherwise you're ending up going through all the process, and you will be offered maybe 2,000. Your expectation was 4, so there is no point to go through everything. So. So in one point, there should be a salary conversations. Otherwise, it may be a waste of the time, both sides. Yes.
Yeah, maybe also ask from the friends what they are thinking. And also the women usually don't want to ask as much as maybe they are like should earn. There's not so much like self-confidence there to ask. So yeah, maybe friends help that find. So
absolutely, ask friends, ask people, and also don't hesitate to ask them. Like in agencies, it's easier. Like you can ask this question, and you can tell out salary, and they are going to say that, you know, this is too low, or this is too high, or something like this, and you're not going to be charged. This information is not sent to the companies. If if we have agreement that we are just going to talk, and then we decide what we're going to do next, and what information will be sent somebody or not will be sent. But you always in the interview can tell that, let's say you're super interested in some company. You definitely want to work, let's say maybe you want to work in Veriff or Pactum, or what are the coolest companies today's wise, maybe still. So definitely your goal is, I want to work there. And actually you really don't care about the salary, but it doesn't mean that you don't want to be fair with the salary. You can always say that I want to be treated fair. According my skills, according my according my skills, or am I a woman or man? It doesn't matter. I want to be treated fair. And sometimes it is that when you're, let's say you're today maybe senior developer, and you apply somewhere, you may end up there as a junior. It really depends on the people who are there. And this, that you were earning a lot in other company, and now your skills, there are needed some skills that you don't have, you're going to earn less, but it's important that it's fair. And if you have this number, let's say you got this number, okay, you were talking with your friends, you did all the research, you have the number. Then be always ready that recruiter is asking, like, where this number came from. Like, I've heard many times that somebody's quite junior people coming like, oh, I want to earn 4,000. Okay, cool. But where this number came from? Actually, I don't know. I think that in IT, everybody are earning well, and I just want to earn as well. Like, or somebody, my friend, told me that this is the number I should ask, and then we ending up that, oh, this friend has car compensation, doesn't have the car compensation, doesn't have the sport, that doesn't have nothing in the trainings, has a very boring job, and that's why the friend is paid that well. And so it's always a complete employer value proposition, not only the salary, not only the opportunities as well, but everything together that you should consider. And don't forget your inner goal. Why are you doing this? Because sometimes you have to take 1 or 2 steps back to go more far away. So, but challenge the employer that you want to be treated fairly. That's always a good answer. Then.
Do you think the companies treat the employers fairly if they are entering to the company?
I would say yes, rather yes. The problem is mainly when, let's say, with startups, they're starting with hiring. They don't have no idea about the salaries as well. So they just they are just needing a person to start. They are hiring the first person, giving the money they were asked, and maybe they hire first 5 people, let's say 5 engineers, kind of different. They have different skill sets, they have different salaries, and then they are having the problem. They understand, okay, this person is paid too much, the other person is paid quite low, but what now it's a little bit late to change things. So then it's a problem. But I would say in everyday companies are thinking about it more and more often, and they ask advice from people who help them to set up the salaries and things. But again, all people can't, it has to be fair, but it doesn't mean that all the people are getting the same salary who have the same skills or same years of experience. There are other things as well, but it can't be, let's say, same effort, same skills, and it can't be like 30% difference for sure. But the truth is that as right now, it's lots of hiring going on. I would say I have never seen so much hiring in last 7 years. I've been in the hiring business. It's really crazy what's going on, and the companies are fighting with talent. I would not say that they are paying, just trying to pay off people, but people are coming in with a higher salaries than the people are already working there, and it's a kind of it is what it is at the moment. Okay, so be ready to explain where this number came from, and it's not a good answer. It was just a blind guess. So be ready for that question. Especially you will get that question, and this is also good, like a tip. You usually will get this question when it's too low or it's too high what you set out. But also, if you, as I mentioned, that be careful with saying out the number. Try to get the other side to talk like what your salary ranges are. Like you can always say, yes, I understand that, like I'm usually saying, yes, I understand the skills are different, experience is different. It's really depends on the person and so on. So you can ask the same thing. I understand that you can't say today what my number would be, but what are the ranges and or at least understand how the salary is decided, like what are the important parts that I have to do well to, be successful with the offering part. Mostly when we're talking about tech, it's the technical task, whatever it is, there are. I know today people are quite lazy to do it because there are so many companies who is hiring, but I promise you, if you do the task well, or let's say it's too hard or too difficult for you, but you're trying and you are putting the comments let's say you try to put some code to work and it doesn't work, but you're very close and you know you're close. So write it down what you have tried to do there, and that really impressed actually the hiring managers. And this is how you get the job, and you can have the salary as well. And if you do the test task well, it's more likely going to stay this company longer, because you still have a 4 months probation period. If there is no technical task, nothing like this, it's very easy to let go people as well.
Yeah, one comment maybe here, this task is like investment in the future. Even though if you don't get the position right now, maybe they offer something else in the future for you. So, and then you don't need to do it again. Then it's already there, and they know what you can do.
Exactly. Thank you, Ave, for saying that. I would also add the thought that let's say in Estonian market, it's so small. Whatever you do, it stays there, I would say. So every CV you send, every conversation you have, it may affect your future. So even if you're not ready today for this test task or this interview, you didn't perform that well, then know that you probably will meet this person somewhere in the future. And I rather always give best of me and be thankful if you get the feedback. And even if you don't agree with the feedback, or you feel that, okay, that was just excuse. I mean, if it's a legal excuse, of course, then act. But, as a recruiter, sometimes we do have 5 good candidates. Nothing, and I usually would say that, yes, you're very, very good, but unfortunately, there is somebody better. So, but there may be sometimes excuses you feel that, okay, that was just excuse. But why not to send this, cool, thank you for your feedback. Please consider me for future. And the future can be there. This recruiter, this hiring manager will maybe move to another company. And it's all about network you're going to build. So the salary part that we got over, but yeah, it's a tricky part. It's a really tricky part, and just my advice is that don't maybe at the first interview, if you don't know the job itself, don't say it out too easily. Then was a question from Ave when you asked me to come talk here, like who will be selected, good experience with a high salary or medium expert with a lower salary? That's always like egg and the chicken question, I would say, that you never know. Like it really depends of the company, really depends of the need. Rather, I would say it's mostly always about attitude, the motivation. Sometimes a very good expert with a high salary don't have too much motivation anymore, and the junior ones who just want to get the foot somewhere in, they are so motivated, so ready to do things, and they are most likely to get hired. But of course, if you need to set up the architecture, you're going to pay maybe this less motivated person to do it. So it really depends where exactly, which point this company is and who is hiring there. Okay, at the interview, let's say you already passed everything. You prepared the interview. You got all your questions ready to answer. You know where you have to go. Your tech, your headset is working. Everything is done. So now at the interview, again, you're going to be relaxed because you are prepared. I don't know what this, and there is something missing, but be relaxed and prepared, and listen what's been asked. I think as a recruiter, the most common thing is that people are coming, they are really prepared, they know what they want to talk, but they forget what I'm asking. And it's really annoying because I have a purpose why I'm asking this. And this doesn't show you in a good light. It means that you can't listen. Me, maybe as a more senior recruiter, I may understand that you're just so nervous and you just want to say everything that, you're not sure that there is going to be chance to say those things, but still try to listen what's been asked and answer what's been asked and be very clearly. Like, of course, not maybe only one word or one sentence, but concentrate what's been asked. Don't guess or pretend. If you don't know, then just say it. Be ready for, maybe you can think of those situations that you've been asked some questions that you don't know, but you maybe have a good ideas where to figure those things out. So you can say that I don't know this, but I can figure out. Like usually when I don't know things, I do this, that, or this, and yes, and don't answer illegal questions. It was mainly the things that you're not supposed to put on a CVs. Like women quite often ask, like, oh, what's your plans with kids? Oh, you don't have to answer to these questions. Oh yeah, we've been planning to have kids in 2 years, or no, I'm not going to have kids at all, or something like. It's a very bad. I mean, it's a bad situation. I mean, you are already in a pressure. You wanted this job. You are nervous, and maybe there is a very senior person who is asking this. But again, maybe practices how to say that I don't think it's a relevant questions, or how it's irrelevant to this job. I would not like to answer these questions. Or again, let's say you have kids and you somehow you have mentioned this, or you, I don't know, they know you have kids and they start asking, oh, how you think that's going to work out, that, we have to travel and you have kids and who's going to take care. Again, this is not relevant questions. You probably already have figured out when you came to the interview, those things, so you don't have to answer. Yep. That's a good thing. I mean, we are quite on time. I wasn't sure how many questions there will be and how it's going. But startups versus I have an old slide here, but large enterprises. Sorry about the slide, this typos here, but it's again about what your goals are. There is nothing that one place is better than the other one. Maybe in a startup, in a large enterprises, you will get the more structured place. You get to know maybe how the structure would be in startups. There mostly no structure at all, but also you probably don't know what to do. And if you don't have skills enough, then you maybe don't figure it out yourself as well. And you may get lost there. And also, in startups, there probably won't be so good onboarding. It really depends on the stage of the startup, of course. In very wise, wherever they probably have very good onboarding system that you can't even imagine. But the 10 people startup, definitely they have think about onboarding yet. But the large companies, they definitely, most likely they have it. Also the stress level, we all are in a different stages in life. Sometimes we need the stage that we rather work 9 to 5 and we don't want to think about what happens after 5. But there are different stages, like when you feel that, yes, I want to give everything for myself. I have time for it. Maybe this is the period of life I can actually improve my skills, and I want to work. I want to work as a very crazy. So in startups, you definitely more likely will get that job, and you're quite expected to give always a little bit more rather than less.
Maybe one question here. Where does the startups find the workers? Do they put out just asking to come and apply, or they're using agencies, or there's just some rumor they need someone and it's between friends, or how does it work?
Yeah, I would say the first people are most likely friends and the rumors and connections. The other places, mostly recruitment agencies, like because today the post and pray in CV online with tech job ad, it doesn't work. I mean, yes, junior people will find it, and that's the only thing to put out there. But very good senior people, they don't hang out there and waiting the right position popping there. They having their LinkedIn email boxes full of the job proposals. So that's why it's really important to build your network, talk people, say out word that you're interested, put your LinkedIn. Also, the founders, they also, I think they do the LinkedIn headhunting themselves. So put out there that you're open to work. There is a description part where you can write down what you're good at, what you may look for. And then, yeah, and also other way around. You can also some angel lists, the free places that they can, where startup people hang around, they mostly have the job ads there as well. So that's again the place that the point that go out there and find what's out there, do the research. It's not everything is not coming to you, but the LinkedIn account, I definitely would say that all the recruiters are using it. And if you have more connections, you may get more offers, and then it's more choice for you to pick. I have another slide where it's more information in. So, startups versus corporations. I would say also the experience part in corporations, you usually have a more people who have time to teach you. So it's not a bad place to start. I mean, you will see how should be things done. There is a very senior people who can teach you in startups. You're just running with the time all the time, and you have to figure out things yourself. But again, it's always good when you have both experience, then you will understand which one is for you. Not for everybody are startups, not for everybody are the corporations, but it's good when you have both experiences. But if you feel like you're a more startup person, I don't want to see it in your CV that you have spent last 10 years in a big company and you're not satisfied there. So if you feel the corporation is not for you, then move on to the startup. And in a cover letter, tell this, that I feel that I have more startup spirit than staying in this large enterprise where I have a thoughts, but I can't, nothing happens in next year. About salaries, I would say it really depends how many investors startups have, but most likely they have a lower salaries, but you can have a share option part. I think in Estonia, it's quite good example how things can go really well with the share option. So don't be afraid of lower salary and getting shares. But again, other way around, don't do the shares. It doesn't mean that you can exercise them in one day. Most of the startups will die. So, so I mean, be conscious and be aware of it. Yes, but the salaries and your growth, I would say in the bigger companies, it's more known what will happen. Like, let's say you have a salary discussion every year. In a startup, you may not have them at all, but you may grow really fast in your role. taking a more responsibility, gaining the experience. So it can be like every 4 months, even salary raise, because there are not too much structure, and it's easier to change things, I would say.
Maybe here, what do you think, when is the good time to ask the salary? Is it like when you feel I have done something really good, now it's good time to ask salary, or this is like an annual thing, or this is like maybe I haven't had a salary raise for 5 years and now this is the last point?
Definitely I don't think there is a right or wrong answer, but definitely when you're gaining more responsibility, you're bringing more value, you feel that I have taken the next step. And I'm starting considering to move out the company because I feel that my experience is another level, and there should be a salary raise. Also, I would say that the salary talks, I mean, definitely I would have the salary. It's connected with your responsibilities, your goals. So those goals, they are set up with your team lead or manager, and you definitely should have the weekly or bi-weekly or at least once a month some checkups how it's going. So and also sometimes you can ask like, okay, I feel like I want to take a next step. What should I do to get the raise? Like let's put down the steps. So it's not that you know that in every February we're going to have the salary talks, and you are waiting to this February that now I'm going to get, and then you won't. The salary talks, it doesn't mean that you always get the pay raise. So it's rather both sides should know like what's being expected, what should I do to get the raise, and more talk about the salaries in your one-on-one meetings with your lead. Not every time, okay, now is it the time? Like every week asking, but is it now it's time for salary raise? No, this is not what I mean, but you need to know how does it work, and challenge your lead, like ask how does it work in this company. I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm going to ask you a raise, or but like just how it usually works, what other people doing, or it can be just open conversation.
Great. Thanks for that. We have one more question in the YouTube. The gaps, what are like taken from the jobs or between the jobs or inside the job? So about the gap, about the health, or maybe even the maternity leave, how does it like affect the career? Do they like need to explain it somehow why I was missing from the work field 1 year and now I'm back, or what do you think about that?
With a maternity leave, it's easy. You actually still have the contract, so you don't have to explain or put the cap there. If you went to abroad to just have 1 year off for yourself with your family, I mean, I think this to mention that you had 1 year off for your time, it actually adds value to your CV. It shows that, oh, this person actually has had to do it, and most likely you will stand out with this even. But it's easier. It's rather better if you had a fun time taking a year off. It's easier to mention because you may get biased. You think maybe this person was in a prison. Why it's not mentioned there? So it really depends where you.
What about the health? If I need to take time off about the health, do I need to like mention it, or it just is in the CV or somewhere, and if they ask, I just answer?
I mean, about the health questions, you also don't. This is one thing that you don't. Your health condition, you don't need to talk about. If it's not, of course. I mean, if it's not. I mean, sometimes you just can't do the job because your health condition, but then you don't have to talk about it, but you can just, withdraw your application because you figure out that actually it's not for me. But what you can do, like you don't have to put it in your CV, nothing like that. But if you've been asked, you can tell that I would not like to talk about it. It's a personal thing, but I can say that I wasn't in prison or something like that. You know, make a little joke out of it, and because most likely people, they just want to know that were you in a prison or not, because you can't check it too many places. Okay.
Some more slides, or we?
Yes, I just some facts about that found it, and I mean, it's not found it. There are so many facts about. I can share the links, but a few things to think about. That usually women apply for the job when there is almost a 90% match in requirements. So let's say the company is listed 10 skills that you should have. So women usually apply when have 10 of 10, maybe. Okay, I will get this in the 10th one. Today I have a 9, but I will get the 10th soon. And then this is the time they are applying. Men applying when they have 60%. So don't be afraid to apply, especially when it's a technical job. If you know that you are a fast learner, mention this in your cover letter. Mention what you have learned lately. Mention when you had had the same situation, and in 3 months I learned this or that. Because in a job ad, the hiring managers, they usually want to list their dream person. Like, okay, now if I could choose, then what are the skills and the personality that could be there? And when we're talking about technical roles, most likely when it's just a job ad somewhere, you may get the 3 applications. Most of them are not 100%, so I can encourage you to apply. And yeah, 60% about the salaries and things. So 60% of women, they don't negotiate about their salaries. That's sad. They may quit. You know, they will have a better offer somewhere, and then they will go, or they just don't accept the offer, and they're not doing the negotiation there as well. When it's time, it's totally okay if you get the offer and you want to negotiate it. And or talk what you to understand where the salary came from. As a recruiters, we're trying to understand where your salary expectation came from. But you have also, you know, can ask from the employer where the salary came from. Like, okay, when it's a good explanation if it's a mean salary in our company, this role, and you know. The plan is that in 4 months you're going to get, you may get this one or this one. So you know where the salary came from. It's not that I thought because you asked or something like this. Let's see if I have more slides. Oh, I don't have more slides. I'm very open to the questions. So I would say that
yes.
Again, take your risks. I mean, like, what can happen? Always consider what's the worst thing can happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, everyone who's listening, if you have questions, then chat in video comment box, then you can ask them. But we have covered quite many questions also. So if there is not a question anymore, then I can say it was very delighted. I am delighted. It was very nice talk. And so much information. I believe if there are some newcomers to the job field, or they're thinking how to apply, then this was good place to start. And yeah, thank you, Reet.
And those who didn't listen online and listening afterwards, don't hesitate to contact me in LinkedIn. I mean, as I said, connection in LinkedIn, it doesn't mean that we're going to be best friends and we have to meet face to face. It's all about the networking. And don't hesitate to ask me about hiring. Don't hesitate to ask me about the CV. Yes, I'm usually not doing like a consulting, like doing rewriting your CV. But you know, if you have questions, should it be there, or how should I mention this one or that one? Please feel free. And who feels that they want to work at startup, also have many openings for startups. So thank you for having me here. I hope
you helped us very greatly. And thank you all the listeners also. So let's have a new web event in the future. Maybe even we can meet in some real place and have some real questions. It's definitely hard to make it over the web. And also for the presenter, it's harder. You cannot see no one except me. But yeah, thanks to all, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.